Hi my friend, it's Pat Sloan here and it is Happy Everything Day and I am wearing my fall t-shirt from, this is one of the Good Life, Life is Good, yeah, Life is Good t-shirts. So yes, I decided to wear this today. Nice, it's a brisk day. So we are on the Happiness is Everything. We're taking blocks from the book and this is the one we're doing today. We're doing the sparkler, and the sparkler is kind of right in the middle-ish of our layout. So here it is. Here is my sparkler block. Ta-da! And I did a few choices and I want to really tell you about the colors for this. So let's get to it. The Happy Everything Sew Along is from my book, my holiday celebrations, and there is our block for this week. It's coming from the sparkler. We're taking most of the quilt is blocks from here, plus a layout and a extra few bonus blocks that I'm doing just for fun to add in to make it a little bit more exciting. So if you don't have this layout yet, you can go download it at my website today. There's a link for it because that is how you put everything together. Okay. So the sparkler, let's talk about it. It's actually, if you're doing the actual quilt, it's a little bit bigger than you might think. See, it'd be a great table topper or it's a great wall hanging, super baby quilt. This is then a quilt that you could do in repeat. You could do 3x3, 4x4, 4x5. You could just expand this out to however big you need the quilt. Just keep adding ribbons until you get to the end. So it's really a great quilt for that. Also for any kind of fabric. You don't have to make this as a summery one, which I did for the book. Now I'm going to make mine in the gray and yellow for this sew along quilt. And I want to talk to you about the fabric selection and placement because you have options here, but I want you to be able to get the image to pop like it is, and you have to do something very specific for that. So on here we've got there are two red fabrics. If you're going to use two red fabrics, make sure they're very similar. You don't want a high contrast because then you will lose that image. The whole idea is to make this look like kind of like one unit, but I'm using more fabrics. This was a fabric line from, when I made this, it was out then. So they went together really well. The designer did them. They matched. It's the same red, and there's little jars and there's flowers. Okay, so that's how you get that red. You've really got to make those tight so that they do not lose the shape when they're in the quilt. I have three or four. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 white-based fabrics to do the white part. Now, I go back to this. This could be this could be 1 red fabric. You don't have to do 2. You could do 1 red fabric. This you could do, I'm using 4. You could do less. But they're all white-based with practically the same amount of imagery on it, the same similar spacing of the imagery. So there isn't like a wide variety, like one is mostly white and one is less white. They're all very similar. That white part of the background is a similar amount in each fabric. Okay, so with that in mind, let's take a look at the fabrics I was playing around with. So I have a lot of options. I could have options till, the cows come home. So I decided I'm going to do teal where the red is, and then the yellowy gold. I want to go more the golden tones of the yellow. So first let's look at the teals, because I wanted to keep it light. And remember I have this one that I said I really, really want to use in this quilt. Well, the problem is it's very dusty, which means and very light. So I did find a drink fabric that's really similar, so that if I were to use these two together, let's fold them into a triangle, and this one into a triangle, and then you make them look like a flying geese unit like this, and you can see they actually blend just like the red in the quilt. They blend across, they don't break up, they pretty much look like one fabric, which is very, very cool. So I could use both of them. That would be a lot of fun. The thing is with this fabric that I want to use a gray background. Let me just pull those grays over here a minute. So I pulled a bunch of grays, and the deal is this is very medium tone, which means as I'm putting them across things, they will not, this is the darkest one I have here. And it does pop off of there, but not really well. And the lighter ones, they're sort of, that's a lot of pattern. And it's okay there because it's a really, really small scale print. It actually will show there too light and probably too light. You know, once this, you start to lose that imagery. So the deal is I just felt like I didn't have enough in the grays to work with this. And I don't want a dark. You know, it would look fabulous on dark. Here, I've got the dark here. Look at this. You know, pop, pop, pop. Look at that. It is just fantastic on the dark, but I don't want a dark background for that block. So let me just put this over here a minute. So instead I went and I have this fabric, which is a very old Tulip Pink, I think. Can you have vintage Tulip Pink? Yes, you can. Prince Charming. And I have not cut into it. It's got directional fabric. So that means a little bit more fun with directional if I want to keep them all going, you know, like the girl with the butterflies, everything, the girl in the swing. If I want everything to be the top at the top, I'll have to think through that. Then I have this variegated, and the half of the variegated is real similar. So like if I made this into a triangle, there we go. So here, so there we go. So those look pretty good, and I could put them on the light gray. I could probably put them on these dots. There, that looks like pop, pop. That looks really good. It's maybe a little darker than I want to go. I have a lot of this sort of little small scale image. So I can do this on any of the lights. Then for the golds, I went with a selection here. I think I ultimately did not use this one because it has reds and pinks and other stuff, and it's blue, not aqua, so that one I didn't do. And I need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one has also, again, a lot of pattern, and it's not melding together, so went with these 4. And then I decided if in the middle to put this fun dot. So the other option I had for the middle was a fabric that was a companion to this one, which was the white. But I think that I like the dot better. That's what I ended up with. So there we go. That is the approach to getting that same imagery with your fabric, you know, with your fabric selections. And of course you could just use less fabrics. You could use the same reds. That would also be really good. Before I sew this up, let me just show you how I laid it out on the table. It's too big for my design board, so I had to lay it out on the table, and I'll sew it in chunks. So here we go. This is, oh, it's big. It's filling up the table. So there we go. I've got it laid out, and I don't have the middle because I was debating. You know, you don't have to figure that out yet. You can sew all the parts. Here was the charcoal in the middle. So it's kind of like this. And but then here is that light that went actually with this fabric, and I kind of like that, but I'm gonna wait. I may actually look around. I may actually put a teal in the middle. What do you think about that? Maybe this one, fussy cut a piece from this. I think that's what I'm going to do. One last view before I sew it up. This is done in sections. So basically you're doing rows, and on page 44 of the book I show you this, but you're going to do, you know, I did these sections, this section, and then they'll go together. Then this middle is one single row across, and then the lower is just a mirror image of that. So there's the left, the center, and then that strip on the right, and then all this will get sewn together. Now we can put this up here and show you about where it'll be and how it's going to look with everything else. So this is where it is, and this is why I also wanted a lighter color background. I didn't want a big dark background right there because I'm trying to keep those dark grays, I think, to a minimum, keeping it a little bit lighter. So I don't want a large dark chunk. So I needed to use a light background on this one. So excited about it. I love it. Yes, I really would like to make up another one in another colorway because it is so great in just about any colorways that you want to use. All right, I have a couple other things here. One is that my friends at Annie's have a bunch of different clubs, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I am pretty excited about them. They have not only just fabric clubs, they have things for yarn, for knit, specifically knitting and crochet. They have some sewing ones, they have sort of crafty ones, but I wanted to show you the clubs, the fabric clubs for quilters. So they have a couple of different ones. This is, they come, I think, in these little boxes. This one is like a fat quarter club. And so you get a pattern, and some of the patterns come printed. Sometimes you go online and get the pattern. I think it just depends on the club. And so this particular one they sent me a sample of. You got all of these fat quarters with a pattern to do for them. So the club is kind of a project, but you don't have to use these. And because they have some patterns that you have access to online, you can kind of pick what you want to do. So they sent me, this is an example of what you got for one of the Charm Pack clubs. And I think pretty sure the Charm Pack ones you go online to get the pattern. And then here was a table runner club, and this is Christmas fabrics. So I think, you know, and it depends on time of year, what you're going to get, that kind of a thing. But here are the fabrics that came in this one. So if you love getting some little happy mail, ta-da! So there's another one in there. There we go. So all of this is to do the table runner, which is really darling. So if you love getting a little bit of happy mail, the club link is here and at my website. If you use my links, it helps support my small family business. And you could check out some of the other ones. They have one that I saw, which was like a bunch of little projects, little quilted projects, like mug rug kind of things. Those were sort of cute. They were by the seasons. So I loved seeing those. Okay, another little tidbit. Well, I found out some of you actually look at the calendar that I send out. I don't know how many of you look at the calendar because only one person has written me, and that was Anne, because on the calendar I wrote something about sandwiches, but I never mentioned sandwiches the other day. I think it was like Thursday, and then again it was like Wednesday and Friday or something crazy like that. Well, I think it was Wednesday was International Sandwich Day, which I forgot to look at my calendar to talk about. And then I, for some reason, put it on another day as well, which shouldn't have been there. It was just, you know, got a copy and paste and forgot to get rid of it. So sometimes on the calendar, I forget to look at the calendar and see what the holiday is of the day to talk about it. So that's why sometimes you don't hear me say something that seems to be mentioned. So now I know at least one person looks at my calendar. Thank you, Anne. Okay, so you are going to make your sparkler block this week for Happy Everything. There we go. I think it's a great block to do for any kind of a quilt. Nice and big, works up fast. So I love you. Mwah. See you online.